the heads of delegation who have traveled to Nairobi despite their very busy schedule. 8 years after the launching of the institutional reform, a lot of water has flowed under the bridge. Substantive progress has been made under the determined leadership of President Paul Kagame, President of Rwanda, who was the first champion of reform, and I want to commend him. It is true that there is still much to be done in order to attain the objectives set by Decision 605 of July 2016 on the financing of the African Union adopted in Kigali, and Decision 635 on the reform of the institutions of the African Union adopted in Addis Ababa in January 2017. The appointment in February 2024 by the Assembly of President Ruto, whose dynamism is well known as the new champion of reform, bears witness to the will of the African leaders to complete the reform. We have to rejoice at it. Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, I've had the historical privilege of having witnessed the initiation of the institutional reform in July in Kigali, 27 in July, as the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Chad and Chairman of the Executive Council. Late President Déby Itno, may his soul rest in peace, was then the current chairman of the African Union. And in March 2017, Destiny wanted me to be the first chairperson of the African Union Commission to be in charge of the reform under the supervision of the then champion. This is to state the commitment to the success of this reform, which was coordinated on a daily basis by Pierre Mukoko, the head of the reform unit, whose action I want to commend. I want to point out in a non-exhaustive manner the institutional reform of the African Union, the amendment of the achievements, that is, which include the amendment to the election process, as well as the shortlisting mechanism for the selecting the commissioners for the commission, the transformation of NEPAD into a development agency of the African Union, that is to give greater autonomy to the Africa CDC, and also to strengthen the Secretariat of AFCFTA, and then to strengthen the mandate of APRM and have its budget included in the budget of the African Union. The objectives set up for the peace fund, that is fixed at $400 billion, have been attained. Now the replenishment of the fund has been launched in Accra when we had our sixth mid-year coordination meeting in Accra, and has been reviewed, that is, the scale of assessment has been reviewed in order to have a greater balance and reduce the burden of all member states. The budget process of the African Union is being improved with the adoption and implementation of the action, which is obviously not perfect, but initiated by the 15 African ministers of finance. And then with regard to relations with the regional economic communities, the results that we have obtained is encouraging. The second ordinary session of the African Union, which was held in July each year, has been replaced by a mid-year coordination meeting that brings together the 5 heads of state of the Bureau of the Assembly, bringing together the 5 heads of state members of the Bureau of the Assembly, and then the current chairman of the 8 regional economic communities recognized by the African Union, and then the head of the Orientation Committee of NEPAD and the chairperson of the African Union Commission. Furthermore, The protocol on the relation between the African Union and the regional economic communities has been reviewed. The new protocol has been in force in 2021. As regards the division of labor between the African Union and the regional economic communities and the member states, and under the enlightened leadership of President Ruto, Champion for Reform has made significant progress with the submission to the Reform Unit of the report of the consultant hired for that purpose. A retreat will be organized on 6-7 February in Addis Ababa to consider this said report. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, during the deliberations, I want to openly and frankly tell you the facts that I have noted and the lesson learned over the 8 years that I have been at the helm of the African Union Commission. It will behove you to give the necessary orientations that you deem necessary, and that will be led by President Ruto. Because reform shakes up entrenched habits. Yes, reform is difficult, but it is necessary for Africa can find all its rightful place in the community of nations. By saying goodbye to those who will not be participating in this summit, I want to thank you for your kind attention.
Your Excellencies, with your permission, I would like to request His Excellency Mohammed Salem Mazog to make a statement on behalf of the President of Mauritania.